Okie doke. Okay, where we left off. Where did we leave off? Let's go to that. Okay. So, last I left off with our stream here. We got to the end of section 1.1. Now we got to do 1.2 market structure. All right, so let's get over here. Was it 1 point? Yeah, how do we do this? Sorry, I have to scroll up at the very top of our outline. So this will be 1 point. Okay, 1.2. We'll do what? Heading 3. Cool. Come on. Okay, here we go. So 1.3, or sorry, 1.2 market structure. And we'll jump right into 1.2.1 types of markets. Okay, cool. So all right, the primary market. Start with that first. All right. Primary market, I can do a lot of this from memory without having to do much research at all, but let's just keep track of this. So the primary market, by definition, let's start with the first of a transaction where, how about this, involving an issuer collecting proceeds from a securities sale. So, for example, the primary market, the best example of that would be an initial public offering. I've used Airbnb a couple times as my go-to initial public offering. You know, I use Airbnb as like an example all the time. So let's do this. Airbnb IPO. Let's see if we can get. There's probably a wiki page on this, I would assume. Is there not? Is there a wiki? It's probably just going to be on the Wikipedia, on its own Wikipedia page. History. Okay, let's look at its IPO. IPO was in 2020. During the COVID-19 pandemic, bookings dropped as much as 96% in some cities. That's crazy. However, bookings rose in many rural areas. The company pledged $250 million in payouts, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Okay. On December 10th, 2020, the company became a public company via initial public offering, raising $3.5 billion. Shares valued at $238 million were offered to hosts on the platform. On the platform, the price is $68 per share. If I recall, like their IPO price was, I think they IPO'd at 68. Let's look at this here. A group of Airbnb stocks were offered at $68 per share through the initial public offering, but when it started trading in the public market, it smashed to the price trading at $144. What's Airbnb stock at now? Airbnb stock. So let's see. Was $68 a good price? Oh, $68 was a good price there. So. By the way, let me just check something real quick on my. I'll make sure my stream isn't lagging here. Okay. Okay, I'm not lagging. Awesome. Okay. back to that. So Airbnb IPO'd at $68 per share, trading $140.29 as of today. That's huge, right? Not all IPOs work that way. Sometimes IPOs just kind of head the other way downward. IPOs at a price just kind of skids, that price skids all the way down for a while. But hey, Airbnb initial public offering, an example of a primary market transaction, occurred in 2020. If you had put your money into that company, you would basically have doubled your money. That was back in 2020. So we're talking 4 years ago. Not even 4, because December 2020. So it's 3.5 years ago. Jeez. So a primary market, by definition, is a transaction involving an issuer collecting proceeds from a security sale. So Airbnb, through their underwriting syndicate, I believe they hired Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs to be their underwriters. Airbnb sells securities through their underwriters to the public, and they collect the proceeds of that sale. That is how you know if we have a primary market transaction. It's just follow the money. If the issuer of that security is getting the money, it's a primary market transaction. If anyone other than the issuer is getting that money, then it's a secondary market transaction. That's simple. So the secondary market. Cool. Let's do this. We might even go back to the primary market real quick to talk about. There's different types of primary market transactions. I wonder if, I think the outline goes further in the depth on the different types of primary market transactions later in the outline. But a transaction that is not considered primary market. A primary market transaction. A party other than the issuer receives the sales proceeds. It's probably the easiest way to just follow the money. If you follow the money and figure out who's getting the money, then you'll know if it's a primary or secondary market transaction. That's simple. Okay. Okay. So what else do we have in our? Let me pull up my outline real quick. The SIE exam outline. Just see what do we have. So primary market, secondary market, electronic, over-the-counter, physical. Most of everything. So electronic, over-the-counter, and then physical. Let's see, what do we get on this? So, secondary market, electronic. SEC. What is this? FEMSAC. What's FEMSAC? Oh, God. It's a bunch of stuff we don't need to know about. What's upside.gg? Evolution of secondary trading for securities. Let's see. Well, this might be a decent article to read through. Maybe. We'll see. Oh, this is talking about tokenization. Is this all about crypto? Yeah, this is not what I'm looking for. Impact of technology and securities markets. Maybe this will be something good to look at. Let's get rid of the SEC and see. Oh, securities. Secondary markets function as platforms for trading existing securities. These include stock exchanges like NYSE and NASDAQ, as well as OTC markets. Investors buy and sell shares through brokers, and prices of securities are determined by supply and demand dynamics. Cool. I don't know if we're going to get much on this. Let's see what Investopedia has to say. The primary market refers to the market where securities are created, while the secondary market is one in which they are traded among investors. The premise of how companies issue securities and how investors trade them resides within the primary and secondary markets. The primary market is where securities are traded. It's this market that firms sell, aka float, new stocks and bonds to the public for the first time. Initial public offering is an example of the primary market. We already talked about that. Okay, well, whatever. I mean, how much in depth do we need to go here? I mean, let's read. I mean, the three, with the secondary market, if we're talking stocks in particular, we got the New York Stock Exchange, we have NASDAQ, and then we have the OTC markets. That's usually like the way that we boil the stuff down. New York Stock Exchange Wiki. New York Stock Exchange is an American stock exchange in the final district of Lower Manhattan in New York City. Is the largest stock exchange in the world by market capitalization. NYSE trading floors on the blah, 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 blah. Let's look at the history here. Maybe we can get a little bit of the history. Oh, I don't want to go back to the 1700s. Let's go to the 20th century. 1920s, Let's get, 21st century. On January 26th, an altercation during filming of the music video Rage Against the Machine, Sleep Now in the Fire, great video, directed by Michael Moore, caused the doors of the exchange to be closed and the band to be escorted from the site by security after members attempted to gain entry into the exchange. In the aftermath of the September 11th attacks, the MIC was closed for 4 trading sessions, resuming on Monday, September 17th, and one of the rare times the MIC was closed for more than one session, only a third time since March 1933. Yeah, the market fell, Okay, trading. There we go. New York Stock Exchange, sometimes referred to as the Big Board, provides a means for buyers and sellers to trade shares of stock and companies registered for public trading. Is open trading Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4 p.m. Eastern, with the exception of holidays declared by the exchange in advance. Proposals for round-the-clock trading have been considered by the New York Stock Exchange. That will happen eventually. Question is when. The New York Stock Exchange trades in continuous auction format where traders can execute stock transactions on behalf of their investors. So let's look at this here. This is going to fall under the physical. I guess let's just put this here. Let's do platform/venues. So we have the New York Stock Exchange. Also known as NYSE. Cool. Good old New York Stock Exchange here. Auction market. Now, when we say auction market, just imagine like an auction. Like, yeah, there's an auctioneer, connecting buyers and sellers. It's kind of like, I've only been to a few auctions in my life, but there's an auctioneer that, something comes up, people, auction for different things. It doesn't exactly work like a traditional auction, but we call it an auction market. What if they get into the why? Where traders can execute stocks on behalf of investors. They will gather around the appropriate post where a specialist broker who is employed by a New York Stock Exchange member firm, that is, they're not an employee of the New York Stock Exchange, acts as an auctioneer with an open outcry auction market environment to bring buyers and sellers together and to manage the actual auction. They do on occasion, approximately 10% of the time, facilitate the trades by committing their own capital as a matter of course, disseminate information to the crowd that helps to bring buyers and sellers together. Auction process moved toward automation in 1990. So we're talking about old school stuff. Toward automation in 1995 through the use of wireless handheld computers. The system enabled traders to receive and execute orders electronically via wireless transmission. On September 25th, 1995, NYSE member Michael Ironson, who designed and developed this system, executed 1,000 trades of IBM through this HHC, ending a 203-year process of paper transactions and ushering in the era of automated trading. Cool. As of January 24, 2007, all NYSE stocks can be traded via its electronic hybrid market, except for a small group of high-priced stocks. Customers can now send orders for immediate electronic execution or route orders to the floor for trade in the auction market. In the first 3 months of 2007, in excess of 82% of all order volume was delivered to the floor electronically. So 18%. So as of in the first 3 months of 2007, it's probably even more now. So just only a few orders are going to like for manual, like electronic auction, where I would assume it's it's usually your larger institutional orders that have to be kind of like if some mutual fund wants to buy $20 million of IBM stock or something like that. Like you might need to get that to a floor broker to have them handle it from there. NYSE works with U.S. regulators such as the SEC and CFTC to coordinate risk management measures in the electronic trading markets. Following Black Monday crash, NYSE imposed trading curbs to reduce market volatility. Yeah, that'll be later in the material here. God, this is, I mean, a lot of stuff here we probably don't need to know much about. Yeah, a lot of stuff we don't need to know too much about. Most trades are executed electronically. I can spell. Do they have the designated market makers? Here we go. And how it works. Let's see if we can find some here. What is the New York Stock Exchange? Let's read this Forbes article. Hopefully we won't get paywalled out of it. How does the NYSE work? Okay, here we go. New York Stock Exchange, the largest exchange. We know that. Blah blah blah. More than 80% of companies in the S&P 500 are traded on the NYSE. That's interesting. I wonder if when was this written? 2023, so recent. Okay. Selling brokers take bids on stocks from brokers that represent buyers, whether that's you purchasing a few shares for your investment portfolio or a big financial firm that's building a position in a promising company. As shares trade hands, prices are listed and constantly updated throughout the trading day. New York Stock Exchange traces its origins back to 1792, and over the last few centuries, it's grown to almost synonymous with the idea of the whole U.S. stock market. The NYSE's headquarters building, okay, we don't care where it is. Up until the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, the NYSE offered both electronic trading and floor trading at its physical location. In March 2020, however, it closed its trading floor due to the pandemic and shifted all transactions to electronic format. As of early April 2021, physical trading has not returned to the NYSE. Has it returned? Let's see if it's traded. This is the first time that the floor was closed, but markets remained open. The full move was to be temporary, as it turned out. The floor completely shut for the next 2 months. That all electronic went off without a hitch, and it's both positive and negative for the exchange. On one hand, okay, blah, 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 blah. What is this? I don't want to read something old. Can we put after COVID? I don't know if we're going to find anything on this. And if we're not going to find anything, trading information. Is there like any news on this? God, Vistapedia, always ending up back here. I'm just going to assume New York Stock Exchange is probably like not some physical, most online. Probably not that much online anymore, I would assume. Maybe like how up to date is this? Trading information. New York Stock Exchange's website. Is this going to help us at all? So all our markets operate electronically using cutting-edge, ultra-fast technology. We believe nothing can take the place of human judgment and accountability. It's this human connection that helps ensure our strength, blah, 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 blah. Okay, here we go. The cornerstone of NYSE market model is the designated market maker. That's even like, yes, that is true. So the structure, the designated market makers. We talked about market makers earlier today. Now DMM is like as the name suggests, these are the designated. In fact, we oftentimes call these specialists. These are market makers that have been anointed by the New York Stock Exchange. It's like, hey, they handle the trading here. Formerly known as specialists, DMMs have obligations for maintaining fair and orderly markets for their assigned securities. They operate both manually and electronically to facilitate price discovery during market openings, to closings, and during periods of substantial trading imbalances or instability. So when we say, whenever we use the term price discovery, the question is, like, just keep it simple. Like, what is something worth? What's a stock worth? Now, during the day, when things are normal, we don't have like a crazy amount of demand or supply, or like not a ton of people, like a ton of people buying, not so many people selling. If things are chill and relatively like laid back, then we know what a stock is worth, because it's just dependent on supply and demand. Where things get tricky is like, what happens when we're like opening the market? Okay, a lot of stuff happened overnight. Like what if the stock closed at $50 a share yesterday? Should it open at $50? Well, what if like a lot of stuff happened overnight? Maybe not, right? What should a stock close at? Like at the close of the market, usually that's where we see like an influx of a lot of trades. A bunch of people might submit a bunch of like last second trades into the market at the last minute. That could create some price instability. And also, there's just like a whole thing of like closing the market at a specific price. Like, well, what are we at? What's the closing price of this security? That's where price discovery might come into play. Also, when they say substantial trading imbalances or instability, like if there's craziness in the market, what's a stock actually worth? This quote, high touch approach is crucial for improving prices, dampening volatility, adding liquidity, enhancing value. So like the way I read this and the way I always teach this is that the DMMs are kind of like, a lot of what they like oversee is electronic and automated, and they kind of like take a hands-off approach when things are relatively normal. They jump in when they're needed, typically during the opening of the market, the closing of the market, or if there's like craziness in the market. Okay. DMMs apply keen judgment to knowledge of dynamic trading systems, macroeconomic news, and industry-specific intelligence to make their trading decisions. DMMs are a valuable resource for our listed company community, providing regular communication, making capital commitments, maintaining market integrity, and stepping in during special situations. Basically, they oversee the electronic routing / execution of orders during normal trading environments. And then manually interject themselves during when price discovery is needed. And as we talked about, that's going to be during the opening, closing, instability, unstable or unstable markets. Yeah. Okay. Case studies in our DMMs in action. No. Man, that would actually be pretty cool to read. All right, so let's go back to the Forbes article. Okay. For a company to be listed and traded on the New York Stock Exchange, it must be public and meet strict financial and structural standards. Yeah, I forget on the SIE, probably don't need to worry about listing requirements. Maybe just know they exist. But for other exams, we might, like especially like the Series 7, we might see listing requirements tested. Listing requirements. I'm not going to go off that Forbes article because things may have changed. So let's just do this. NYSE listing requirements. Now, when you say listing requirement, I mean, if I have a, like, for example, my company, I have a small company, Basic Wisdom, we do okay. Is my company at all close to being eligible to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange? Absolutely not. Not even close. So with that being said, yeah, we're bottom line. Hang on, let me do this real quick on the screen. Okay. Our companies have to be a certain size in order to be just considered to be eligible to be traded. So let's see. There's 3 different like sub markets of the MISC. Let's see. Can I find this in here? Listing standards, MISC. Let's do this. For the exam, I would only assume that they might ask questions about like initial listing standards for the New York Stock Exchange in general. Even then, we're getting a little in the weeds on this one. IPOs, spinoffs, carve-outs. Regarding to me, one of the following financial standards, either adjusted pre-tax, only one. Is it worth it for us to write these down? No. Companies must meet certain to be listed. How about that? We'll just keep that simple. Most trades are executed electronically, but there is a physical location here. Physical location for the New York Stock Exchange. Yes.